Good morning, everyone. Welcome once again to Ellington Studies. Today, we're going to continue our book reading, and we're still looking at The Strategy Focused Organization by Robert S. Kaplan and David P. Norton. And today, we're going to be looking at Strategy is a Hypothesis. Michael Porter described the foundation of strategy as the activities in which an organization elects to excel. Ultimately, all differences between company in cost or price derive from the hundreds of activities required to create, produce, sell, and deliver their products or services. It arises from both the choice of activities and how they are performed. This essence of strategy is choosing to perform activities differently from competitors so as to provide a unique value proposition. A sustainable strategy position, in Porter's view, comes from a system of activities such as reinforcement and others. The balanced scorecard, a descriptive and not a perspective frame, builds a view of strategy that, while developed independently of Porter's view or framework, is remarkably similar. The balanced scorecard designed process builds upon the strategies and every movement of an organization, from its present position to a desirable but certain future position. Because the organization has never been to this future position, its intended pathway involves a series of linked hypotheses. The scorecard enables the strategies and its hypothesis to be described as a set of cause and effect relationship that an explicit and testable future would be felt. The strategy hypothesis required identifying the activities that are the drivers or lead indicators of described outcomes. The key for implementing strategy is to have everyone in the organization clearly understand underlining the hypothesis, to align resources with the hypothesis, to test the hypothesis continually, and to adapt as required in real time, as seen in figure 3.4. The diagram right here. The scorecard defines the set of near-term objectives and activities, the drivers that will differentiate a company from its competitors, and creates long-term consumer shareholders value. The outcomes. The process begins in a top-down fashion, clearly defining strategy from the perspective of the shareholders and consumers. It asks, what are the financial objectives for growth and productivity? What are the major sources of growth? Once financial objectives have been specified, the process continues by asking, who are the target consumers that will generate revenue, growth, and a more profitable mix of product and services? What are their objectives, and how do we measure success with them? The consumer's perspective also should include the value proposition, which defines how the companies differentiate itself to attract, retain, and deepen relationship with targeted consumers. Financial and consumers' objectives are described outcomes, but they do not explicitly differentiate themselves at all. The internal business processes such as product design, brand and marketing development, sales, services, and operation logistics define the activities needed to create the desired consumers' value and differentiation. And the desired financial outcomes, therefore, the fourth perspective recognition that the ability to execute internal business processes in the new and differentiated ways will be based on organizations' infrastructure, the skills, capability, and knowledge of employees, the technology that they use, the climate in which they work. We refer to this as learning and growth factors. Now, I'm just quickly going to go through the diagram here. Vision and strategy goes down to financial perspective, which includes objective, measures, target, and initiatives. If we succeed, how will we look to our shareholders? Then it goes down to consumers' perspective, which includes objectives, measures, target, and initiatives. To achieve my vision, how must I look to my consumers? Which goes down to internal perspective, objective measures, target, and initiatives. To satisfy my consumers, at which processes must I excel? And it also goes down to learning and growth perspective, objective, measures, target, initiatives. To achieve my vision, how must my organization learn and improve? We're going to stop here today. This little passage is just telling us that, okay, in everything we need to have a breakdown rule, we need to have a breakdown hypothesis that is clearly described to our employees and to ourselves to enable us know what we are going down for, and it's broken into segments: financial perspective, consumers perspective, internal perspective, learning and growth perspective. And in all this, we have questions to ask ourselves. If we succeed, how would we look to our shareholders? Like, how would we look to our business investors? How would we look to our income bringers? Then down to consumers perspective. To achieve my vision, how must I look to my consumers? You have to know that you have to build your trust. You have to build a certain relationship with consumers for them to actually want to come back to get the same product from you. It's not that they cannot go out there to get a better product or a cheaper product. Or why would they come back to you? You need to sit down and think of how to actually look to your consumers for them to come back and get your product. Then we go down to internal perspective. To satisfy my consumer, at which process must I excel? That is, okay, for me to actually meet the needs of these consumers, what and what should I improve on? What and what should I actually touch? Where and where are we actually going to improve and all? Learning and growth perspective. To achieve my vision, how must my organization learn and improve? Meaning that down to your staff, you need to actually look within. How are we going to improve ourselves for us to actually bring out this desired result? How are we going to actually learn? How are we going to grow? How are we going to move from this stage to the next stage? Because we are all moving as a team. We all grow, and anyone that is left behind is actually a liability to your organization. So therefore, everyone needs to be at the same pace. So we're going to stop here today, and we're going to continue same time tomorrow on electing studies. Do have a nice day. Thank you.